don't be promoting things within the bio, like save that for your actual posts, but keep it about your company, relevant to that branding. Keep it like within your brand tone. You want to put any contact information on there, whether that's website, that's an email address. You really want to focus on its high quality visuals so they can be applied to all the different platforms. Your caption should be clear and concise, having that just like call to action at the bottom to say, here's an event that's coming up, or here's a program that's happening. You want to learn more about it, you're going to click right here for it.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode here on the Business Breakthrough Podcast. We have a very special guest who's going to help us dive deep into social media marketing and promoting for your small business. Cliff Chandler Jr. is currently an SBDC, a social media coordinator, another adjacent center to us on Long Island. So we got Stony Brook and we have here Farmingdale. And he's actually getting ready to transition to a brand new role, which is really exciting. Still at Stony Brook University, Office of Economic Development. So I'd like to welcome Cliff.
Yeah, how's it going, Matt? Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm stoked to have you here. This is such an important thing for businesses to be able to understand and leverage and promote. And sometimes people can feel really overwhelmed by the task, and they see all of these different social media platforms and like, where should I post and what do I post? Should it just be text? Should it be pictures, videos? How do I do this? And so I'm looking forward to going into each of the kind of major platforms today, kind of giving an overview of what those look like, and then diving deeper into some special stuff that we're saving for the end.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. You know, it is really crazy when you think about it, because like, I think a lot of people really underestimate how much of a role your marketing and your social media really plays within your business. But like, it's a full-time job just to keep up with all the changes that happen within it. Just staying up to date on everything is its own job. Yeah,
absolutely. And so hopefully we can get everyone as up to date as of today, recording on the 25th of July. Whenever this airs, it will be current as of this date. So give us a little bit more of your background and your expertise in social media, and then we'll just dive right in.
So I am a certified professional marketer and a certified digital marketing professional, certified through the American Marketing Association and the Digital Marketing Institute. Still can't remember it, but you know.
There's a lot of words, a lot of letters.
Words, letters, it all just jumbles together. So I started my career as an intern for the Stony Brook SBDC, just doing their social media. Did that for a year as I was doing my undergraduate. And then I came back during COVID, actually, because we had so many programs that had to go out. You know, we just needed someone to be able to handle like all that incoming information and make sure it got out, you know, to the right sources. So Martha Stansberry, our current director, called me back in. She said, you know, like, really looking for somebody, like, are you interested? And I said, absolutely. I jumped at the opportunity, got me out of retail, got me out of the public space during all that time. So I was like, great, that's amazing. What I do there is I do all of the social media. So I handled the Stony Brook SBDC's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, and then I handle 2 different newsletters that go out in English and Spanish.
So you don't do very much, is what you're saying.
You know what? I could always do more.
That's great. That's a lot. And so you have real tactical experience. Not only did you go and get your certifications and get that kind of deep dive knowledge, but you also have the experience and the practical application on all of these different social media platforms, which is huge. So before we dive into one, I guess this might be a good way to lead into looking at each of the major platforms that are out there now. When a business is considering starting to move into social media, or maybe they're already doing some things on social media to promote their business, what things should a business consider when selecting which platforms to use?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And honestly, it depends so much on what business you're in exactly, like what your like sector, your field is. Like Instagram may be good for someone that does something like that runs like a plant like nursery where you can visually see all the different products they have. Whereas, you know, someone that works more like in a corporate office, they might not be able to utilize Instagram that way. And I always say that like by default, every business should have a Facebook. It's still the largest social media platform there is out there. It's going to give you the largest reach possible to reach your audience and your potential customers too. So Facebook is a big recommendation. And you as a person, I'd always recommend LinkedIn as well. It's good to have those connections and being able to tag those people and really just get your word out there. You know, big plus.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's definitely, that's what I've seen as well. And that's typically what I recommend to the clients that I had when I worked here as an advisor, is pay attention to who your target demographic is. and where are they? So this goes into going beyond demographics and looking at psychographics. Like what are their values, what are their beliefs, and where are they spending their time, where do they, and especially for this, where are they spending their time online?
Exactly.
And then it can go even further, where are they spending time on those platforms, inside of the platform? Are there groups? Are your target demographics following a particular person or a particular kind of trend or anything like that? And so that's usually where I tell people to start. Like, just start, always consider everything from the customer's perspective.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of platforms even have like a native like insights feature. Facebook, for instance, can tell you, it gives you a very good breakdown for like a native tool. After a certain point, it has a better understanding of your audience. So it'll tell you, it'll give you a breakdown of your audience based on gender. It'll give you an understanding of when your audience is most online. So some people may have their Facebook audience that are more online like 5 o'clock. Some people, it may be like 10 a.m. So that's something to really consider as you're posting and you're building your content strategy.
That's one thing just in almost every aspect of business that is so important and is often overlooked is there's planning, there's executing, and then there should be an equally important review stage, and then there's kind of restarting the cycle over again. Okay, let's plan, let's act, but let's review.
Exactly.
And so social media sites give you that ability even more so on board their own platforms, where you can actually review your analytics and see how things are going, and then you can make educated decisions about how to adjust your messaging and things from there.
Yeah, I always find that there's always something you can learn like from a previous campaign. Like you can always take those analytics, those metrics from like end of campaign and say, okay, here's like, all right, here was our predicted like ROI. Here are the metrics that we wanted to hit. Did we hit those things? What can we do better next time? So I kind of always like the puzzle of marketing where it's like you're always improving yourself, especially like I find that with my newsletters as well. I send them out through Constant Contact. So I kind of gamify it in a sense that like, okay, how can I get my open rate to be better next time? Like what can I do to improve our click rate? So I kind of look at it that way, and it's not work, like it's fun to me. Like
right, yeah, no, I love it. I love putting on like the detective hat.
Yeah,
and you're diving in, you're looking at all the clues and like what led to this, which campaign led to a more open rate. Did we mess around with different titles and different campaigns of subject lines for emails and things like that? It's so much fun.
Like those A/B testing, I can talk about that all day.
Yes, it's so important. It's so important, and maybe we'll go into that in the different platforms or as we go through. Let's start with the biggest one. Let's dive into like developing a strategy to engage on Facebook.
So really like some things you should consider with Facebook. Like I said, like largest platform that there is right now, you really want to focus on its high quality visuals. And a lot of things we'll talk about today were kind of like, they're like broad strokes, so they can be applied to all the different platforms. Like we'll go through them as they come. So you definitely want high quality visuals, whether that's just a still image, whether that's video. Your caption should be clear and concise, and you want that clear call to action at the bottom of your post. I know when I'm doing postings for Stony Brook SBDC or Stony Brook Economic Development, having that just a call to action at the bottom to say, here's an event that's coming up or here's a program that's happening. You want to learn more about it? You're going to click right here for it.
So I'm so curious, and this will probably cross-platform as well. How would you recommend structuring the first half of that message then? So you have something that you want to drive. You're creating a post or a message that you want to drive people to a particular event to do something, right? Whether maybe it's just subscribe to the email list, whatever it is. What have you seen as effective through your own A/B testing, right? And your experience? What have you seen to be more effective for getting people's attention at the top of the post? I guess like which have performed better of the different strategies that you've taken to get people to actually click that call to action and take action on it.
Yeah, so I always find that if your caption's particularly long on a platform, you usually get that like see more option. Right. So first of all, when you look at your analytics and you see that people are engaging with that, it means whatever you have on those first 3 lines, that's already grabbing their attention enough that they want to learn more. But I like to do some sort of like sense of urgency. So let's say, for example, we have a workshop coming up in like September, for instance, for Stony Brook SBDC. Having something that's like just announced, like this upcoming workshop, or as it gets closer, then you say like only 3 weeks left to register, like 2 weeks left. Really having that sense of urgency that, oh, like if I don't see this, like I'm going to miss out on this vital information.
Yeah. And this is like, if anybody's familiar with sales, this is all going to sound very familiar to you. Sense of urgency, sense of scarcity. We only have this many slots left and all of this. Even if you make it kind of arbitrary, but it doesn't even have to be like if you're doing a webinar, let's say, and you want to push people to that. Some people think, well, I just want, how many can my account on Zoom or whatever hold in a meeting? I want that many.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can do it that way, but maybe it's more effective if you have a smaller group. You know, so that way you can be a little bit more personalized. You could be more engaged with the people that are on the call during the webinar. And so maybe that is a legitimate reason to actually reduce the number of seats, maybe to 20. And so you can create that number and put that in there, 20 seats available, and tie it in with the urgency as well. And those are the kinds of things that seem to work well.
And we were just saying this off camera, but I just recently leased a new car. And let me tell you, when I got that call from my salesman that said, we have 4 cars left that are just for you, let me tell you, I left work right away and I said, listen, I gotta go. I gotta go. I had to make sure I got that car. So that sense of urgency, it works in person. It works in social media too.
Yeah, and it's something that even you who operates in this world and understands how to use it advantageously to get people to take action for something that will benefit them. So this isn't like manipulation, it's influence. And so you want to influence people to take action because it's going to do something better. It's going to help enhance their lives, solve a problem, whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
So you don't have to feel bad about trying to use these strategies. A lot of people are like, oh, this feels kind of icky. And it's like, no. Are you providing value? That's the question you start with.
Exactly.
So if you know that people are going to be better off experiencing whatever your service or product is, then it's your responsibility to try to get that to as many people as possible. And that's a way to do it. And like I was saying at the start was, even you being an experienced practitioner, it doesn't matter. You could be as knowledgeable in it as anybody, and those effects still work. They still work. It doesn't matter. You can know the game and like, oh, urgency, they only got 4 cars left, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And so it's that powerful is all I was trying to get at.
And touching on what you were saying before too about having like the Zooms with like a larger group versus like a smaller group to get more interaction, I think really taking advantage of like the Facebook groups as well, because then you're getting all these people that are focused like in your area that have those same interests, that had that same skill set, whether that's you're trying to like grow yourself as a business owner, whether you're trying to grow as like a professional, being in that circle of like-minded people that can just help build you up, it's really going to pay dividends for you.
100%. And there's so many different ways to think about groups. Again, I always go back to I fell in love with psychographics years ago when I stumbled across it, and because a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to go on a social media platform, I'm going to find I'm playing this smart. I'm going to find a group. Maybe I'm selling wine, and I want to find a group of like wine lover groups on Facebook. Yeah, definitely do that. But then also you can dive deeper if you want, if you have the ability to expand, if you have the manpower and the resources to be able to push more marketing campaigns out there or to be in more spaces, you could look at groups that share the same psychographics, the same values, or they enjoy the same things on their leisurely time of people that drink wine, but it's not a place where they drink wine.
Yeah.
So like maybe if it's like a whiskey, like if you were selling a whiskey, maybe you look at some cigar groups too. Like that has nothing to do with whiskey, but that those...
It goes hand in hand.
They'll go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So, okay. Continuing in Facebook, right? So you have the urgency, you can create some scarcity, you push it to a call to action. What else do we have down the track of Facebook as far as strategies or anything?
Yeah, I think another big strategy to keep in mind is you can link your, if you have both, you can link your Facebook and your Instagram together as well. We recently just did this with Stony Brook SBDC, where we have an intern that's coming in and trying to get her set up. And so I was like, oh, wait, I never connected my Facebook and the Instagram accounts together. How'd I miss that? And then I did. And then from Facebook's Meta Business Suite, like that platform, when you have that professional profile established, you can schedule posts ahead of time. So now I can see, oh, my Facebook audience regularly comes in at like 3 o'clock. Let me schedule something for both Facebook and Instagram, get both audiences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very powerful. Have you seen when you're going about structuring a message that is going to be dispersed from that business suite to both Facebook and Instagram? Have you... I guess what kind of hat are you putting on? Are you putting on like an Instagram hat because an Instagram post will transition easier and be as effective on Facebook? Or are you looking at Facebook and having that transition to Instagram, or do you not even think that way at all?
So really good point. The way that the Meta like business suite works is that you can craft your particular caption like for Facebook, and then you can switch it up for Instagram too. So Yeah.
Good job, Facebook. Good job, Meta.
Yeah, good job, Meta. So I can have like a more like not wordy, but more like serious like tone on the Facebook. But then when I go over to Instagram, I can maybe like throw in an emoji here or there. And I think this might be like a good time to start like moving over like to talking about Instagram.
Real quick, just thinking about that business account, do you know offhand, like, could you give a brief description of how somebody goes about making that business? If they were like, okay, I haven't done that. I just have Facebook. I've been marketing from maybe my personal account. Maybe they're a solopreneur out there just getting started. How do you make that business account on Facebook?
So when you're in Facebook on your personal page, you can create like a company page through your personal. It's changed over the years. It used to be you could just make a Facebook page, like a personal page for like Smith's, whatever it may be.
Yeah. But
now Facebook has changed its rules where you need that personal account as like a touchstone for that company page.
Make sure it's real.
Exactly, yeah, because there was, they really cracked down on that. They used to call them gray accounts. They don't have that anymore.
Okay.
So now you have that personal page that's connected to the company page. From there, it's almost the same as making your own personal page. Like you put your name in, you create like some sort of like a bio or a caption for it. Make sure that your profile image is related to that business. Like it complements the tone you want to set. Having that background image, whether it be just like the office building or like some sort of like product, whatever it may be, but make sure everything's all connected and that you have that consistency.
Yeah, that's looping in the branding with the marketing and everything, making sure all things are aligned.
Absolutely,
that's great. That's so good. Yeah, now absolutely. Let's move on to Instagram.
Yeah, so what we were touching on before. So Instagram, it's very visual based, and also like off the bat too, you don't need this like professional grade camera to be able to post on Instagram.
Don't need this studio. You don't need it.
Exactly. Most of the photos you see from Stony Brook are taken with my smartphone.
The quality's so great now on all like new current smartphones. It's not like I have to go get an iPhone. Yeah, I looked right at Sarah when I said that.
Yeah.
Constant battle between us here.
Yeah, by the way, Apple has good cameras. Android has good cameras.
Yep.
It's just personal preference.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so it's just like, don't feel restricted by like a brand like, oh, well, I don't have an iPhone or oh, I don't have the latest Android.
Yeah.
Like they take just the quality across the board is phenomenal right now.
Incredible. Yeah. As long as you're uploading something with like a high quality visual, having just a decent smartphone nowadays will get that job done for you. So having those like still images. You can also use, it's called Reels on Instagram, which is like those short form videos.
So what is I'm going to abuse you here for my own use. I'm so not spun up on Instagram, which is like something I self-loathe about. So, okay, break down Reels. Carousels are on Instagram too.
Both, yeah.
Okay, so what are those? What is the kind of length of the video? How do they work? How do you make them and all that?
We'll start with carousels first. So carousels are, if you have like, let's say like you're a business and you have multiple products you want to display in a post, you can set up a carousel so that it's the different products all together in the same post, and you can also tag them that way. You can buy things directly through someone's like Instagram now, so you can set up like your Instagram shop. It's same like the TikTok shop too.
Is that something you set up independently on Instagram, or can that be done through the Facebook Business Suite? Or
I believe it can be, but I think as long as you switch over to your like professional Instagram profile, same thing with Facebook too. Like you need that personal as the touchstone for the company page. But once you switch over to that professional profile, from then you can set up the store and then you can put products within that store. So that way people can see this carousel and they're like, oh, wow, this is great. And they can just tap on the image and it takes you right to their store.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Without even leaving the Instagram app as well.
Oh, that's even more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's smart by Instagram, because I know that the whole purpose behind any social media platform is to keep people on the platform as long as possible.
It's the same with Google now, too. If you ever search up anything recently, that search engine result page, it's designed to keep you on Google. So if you want to know the latest football scores or the scores from the World Cup, for instance, it's going to tell you those scores right at the very top of the page.
Yep. That's exactly right. I've seen it even when looking up flights.
Yeah.
They do the smart searching and bring up all of the different airlines and the flight costs and everything right there in Google. And track me, whatever. I acquiesce to the tech world and it's so convenient. So
it is.
Yeah. So anyway, off of my personal travel plans. So you have the carousels. Carousels are a series of pictures. Can they also be videos? A series of videos?
They can be,
video?
yeah.
Okay. So you could do that. So you could have a carousel potentially of somebody of maybe. Oh, so how many images or videos can you put inside of a carousel?
I believe it's up to. I think it's up to 10 that you can put in a carousel. So you can really, you can put a whole catalog of products up in a single post.
Yeah, and so you could do the series almost like they have on Amazon, where you go in and you click on a product, and then they have a series of photos of that product from different angles and all the stuff showing dimensions or whatever the case may be. And there's usually one video there at the end.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
so you can build it up kind of a similar way. Like if Amazon's doing it, it's probably a proficient way of showing a product. So you can have a series of pictures, then you can have somebody that's actually using it.
Yeah.
Or even another person on Instagram that you develop a relationship with that has a following, and they're kind of reviewing it or giving a testimonial and things like that.
Exactly,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Also, I do want to say that if you do have... That carousel can be used for products and it can be used for just, other posts as well. The importance of tagging people, within your captions and within your photos as well, it really goes a long way for your discoverability. So, when you tag someone, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it may be... I know LinkedIn for sure. If you tag someone, then their audience will see that they were tagged.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
It goes to not only just your audience, but the person you tag as well. So you have that wider reach. And then when you tag people in your photos, then it shows up in their tagged photos. You may have seen that on Instagram or Facebook too, that there's a separate option for photos where people have been tagged.
Oh, one of the things I wanted to bring up, and you just reminded me of it, is the idea of lead magnets and using lead magnets, which is essentially kind of what you're doing when you're building that post that has the call to action and everything. But one thing that I found was interesting, because a lot of people use an automated system to be able to intake their lead magnets, but something that I found where you don't have to spend the money and can actually help promote the post, because all social media, like we talked about, the idea is keep them on the platform.
Yes.
And the more they're engaging, then the more with your post, the more the platform recognizes that post as being popular, and it will send it out to more people. And so one thing that I've seen to be effective is that when you're creating a lead magnet and you're creating that sense of scarcity and you're trying to get people to get interested in your product or even just your newsletter, is instead of, if you're trying to grow your email list, which is one of the most important things, because that's independent of everything, then you have people respond with a certain keyword to the post, and then you direct message them instead of having it go through this automated system, because then that helps to promote the post. Everyone that's dropping that word into the comments is more engagement, more engagement, more engagement. And when you're responding to each one of them, oh, that's great, I'm going to get a hold of you, I'll direct message you. And so there's a response, there's a comment, then you're responding, and then maybe they respond back. And so all of that engagement helps to organically within that platform promote that post as well.
Yeah, and I really touching on, that engagement within your comment section too. It's a long process to go through all these comments and to like things and to comment back. But that goes such a long way for, one, your discoverability, because your platform is going to see that this is getting a lot of comments, that there's a lot of engagement within your section. It's going to boost it up higher on people's pages thanks to the algorithms. And then also it just shows that you're a person behind the page. I think that's really what it's all about. Just having that human element is so important in marketing.
Yeah, oh, the people from this company actually responded to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is crazy. We're actually going back and forth. Oh, they're going to direct message me. Oh, they did direct message me? It's great. That's such a good point. That personal touch, that human touch behind it, outside of all of the kind of strategies and everything, but building a strong rapport. And that goes into brand.
Yeah.
Because brand is your reputation, essentially, is what it is. And then people confuse brand with logos. Logos are a part of your brand, but it's really just a visual reminder of your reputation.
Yes.
So when people see it, they're like, oh yeah, that's trustworthy, and they have great customer service. They reached out to me directly. The owner reached out to me when I bought a product for the first time, and it was a really great experience.
Yeah.
And now they see that whenever they see that logo, they're reminded of the brand.
And brand is also your tone online as well, that online presence. I think a lot of people know that Wendy's on Twitter is known for being very sassy and being very funny and likes to poke fun at other brands. So that, and Wendy's acts so different from some other company too. Having that brand that can separate you from your competition, really important too.
Absolutely. All right, so we were talking about carousels. There could be up to 10-ish, somewhere around there. You can do photos, you can do videos. People can click on those if you have it set up through your shop on Instagram, and then they can buy right there essentially through Instagram.
Exactly.
So now what about Reels?
So Reels are, I believe they were Meta's response to TikTok. So basically what your Reel is, so it's short form vertical videos on Instagram, ranging anywhere between 15 seconds to 60 seconds.
Okay.
you know, those are great for if you want something that's like behind the scenes. You can do something like that. Having something that's more like impromptu, not as like curated. Like they can be curated as well, but really you want something that's like quick, really going to grab your audience's attention. We do live in an age now where attention spans aren't what they used to be. If I, you know, and like I see it with myself too, if I'm on TikTok and I don't see something that I like within like 3-5 seconds, boop, I'm just going to go to the next one.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's all about, and that kind of goes to platform, but generally speaking, all the ones you would think of as social media platforms, when you're putting a video up, it's got to have that effect, because people don't go to LinkedIn and they don't go even to Instagram and Facebook specifically to watch a video.
Right.
They're going there to see like, oh, okay, I'm just scrolling, I'm bored, I'm on a break or whatever, and I'm just seeing what's going to catch my attention. And it's something you can easily study, is just go look at really popular posts that are going out that are videos and say, okay, how did they build the suspense? Is it like a still shot of the beginning of the video with something like looks like it's crazy it's going to have? Do they show on Reels like a couple of second automatic playthrough just when you're going past it? Like, does it start showing the beginning of the video? I think YouTube Shorts does that.
Yeah, so like if I'm scrolling through my Instagram and I'm seeing posts from like friends, companies I follow, whatever it may be, you'll get a section that's like, I think it's like suggested reels is like the little snippet that pops up, and it gives you like 3 or 4 in a row, and then it'll play the first couple of seconds of it, and then it's like, okay, well, I want to see what the others are. Now you're swiping right to see what they are, and then you say, oh, like, what is this one? Then you click into that, and now you're stuck in the rabbit hole of Instagram Reels.
Yeah, they won.
Yeah, they got me.
And so, so it's interesting to consider that, because you, again, always from the customer's perspective. Always think about what the UX is, what is the user experience for them on their side. And so if you don't understand the platform, but you know that's where your clientele most likely are, then it's incumbent upon you to study and understand and spend time on that platform from a user perspective, but also keeping your business hat on, of like paying attention to, okay, if this is what works, if there's a series of like these reels that are performing well, and there's this like really interesting build up in the first 2 seconds, like you see like a ball in the middle of Times Square and a kid's like going and running to kick it, and it stops, but they have it set in such a way that it doesn't play for when the kid actually kicks it, like cuts off. That's where it pauses, where you actually have to click on it and watch it. And so you have to think about things like that, like what's going to draw the attention.
Exactly,
obviously, it doesn't have to be soccer balls.
And you did mention that like taking the time to like really like study your platform, like study all of that. Like that's great to do, and just knowing that a lot of business owners might not necessarily have that time too. Like, and while that's so valuable to do, even just consistency with posting is so like key to that strategy too. It's so key to having that discoverability. So you don't necessarily need to know the ins and outs of the Facebook algorithm or how to, you know, properly like do this thing. Just as long as you're posting, you know, just a few times a week, and like that varies on business too. I've seen businesses that post every day. I've seen businesses that post like 2-3 times a week. And I've even seen people that post like once a week, depending on the platform and their audience. So that's just all things to like kind of like take note of and consider as you're building out the strategy.
Yeah, and again, like you said, A/B testing, like figure it out and see what your capacity is realistically, like with the resources I have, the time that we have, what can we do? And then maybe you just use that as the baseline and see how that performs. And then you can, okay, well, what if we did half of that, and see what you're generating from those, and then maybe it's the same. And you're like, oh, okay, well, we don't have to invest as much time. Yeah. And you can go the opposite direction. Well, let's put twice as much time in it. Maybe we bring on an intern to see if we can double the amount that we're creating in the same period of time. And maybe we go from once a week to 2-3 times a week. And let's see how that does. And again, it's just testing.
I'm going to jump in really quick. Sorry.
Please.
I'm probably really loud on the mic. I think seasonal, like, depending on what season you're in, like for us here at the center, one of the things that we run into. So as our brand, we're supposed to be posting like 3 times a week, but in the summer it's so dead because on Long Island, everybody wants to be at the beach. Everybody wants to be barbecuing, being in the Hamptons, so in the summer we kind of take a step back a little bit because the engagement isn't as high. So we can save that content for the fall and the winter when our traffic starts, picking up. So I think it's super important to, when you're talking about marketing for your business and branding and stuff like that, it's just seasonal is such a huge part of it as well.
100%. And you really have to, and that goes back to understanding your audience. Like what are they doing? Maybe what you're offering peaks in the summer. Like maybe you're landscaping and you're trying to promote that. And like, okay, well, this type of landscaping happens in the summer or in the spring leading up to the summer so that people can enjoy their pools or whatever in the backyard, a nice clean yard and all that. And the other ones, it would be flip the opposite. And then that even goes to holidays too.
Yeah.
Like paying attention to the seasons and what are the holidays? Is it Valentine's Day? Or, you know, can that fit into your target demographic?
Yeah. I mean, I've even noticed too, like you guys are right down the road from the melting pot over here in Farmingdale. I've been there a few times. Let me tell you, if Valentine's Day comes around, I start to see them more and more. So, you know, I think knowing like you're like, having that like seasonal awareness, that like awareness of like upcoming holidays and knowing like your peak times, like that really plays such a big factor into it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're not operating. The whole idea is like be social on social media, right? Don't operate in a vacuum. Pay attention to what's happening in the world and embed that as part of your social media marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like don't be afraid to like engage with other people too on social media, like other businesses, other like individuals, like throw them a comment on something. It's going to help you. It's going to help them out. So,
yep. Yeah, I have a whole strategy that I walked through. I had a 3-part webinar series that I did for Farmingdale SBDC probably a year ago now, but it was all about that. Yeah. It was all about like, if you're starting from nothing and you want to build a brand online and if you're like a solopreneur, because it's exactly what I did. And I learned it from someone else, targeted daily engagement, but it all has to do with that, finding influencers or other businesses that operate in your same field that have a good following and have a lot of response rate and getting involved in the conversations on their post and then thinking about the tone and the tenor that you want to set to build that brand so people know what to expect. And you're always there and you're feeding other people like gratitude and things like that and not hyping other people up, but appreciating what it is that they're talking about and what perspective they have. Even if you don't agree, you can even say that, like, that's really interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
I've always seen it from this perspective, but now my mind's opened up and now I can see it from that perspective as well. And then that goes into the whole curation of your LinkedIn site and everything.
Yeah.
And so it's something we won't dive into from my end super specifically today. That'll be a whole nother hour.
But that comment in itself, like that opens up a whole like door for further engagement from that post too. Yeah. So, you know, it really just goes a long way.
100%. All right. So we touched on Reels, right? Was there anything else about Reels or Instagram in general as best practices?
I think I said it before, but you can, so like Instagram, you want like shorter captions. You can do long ones too, but it's important to have that like line break in between. You're going to Instagram for the visual aspect. You don't want to read, I don't want to read a Stephen King novel as I'm looking through someone's post. So having line breaks like that is good, but ideally you want to keep it a little bit shorter. And then I don't think we've ever touched on hashtags in this conversation yet.
You literally plucked it from my head. I was like, we're going back. We're talking about numbers of hashtags and what works and what doesn't. All right, please.
Yeah. So I find that, at least in my postings with Stony Brook SBDC, Stony Brook Economic Development, somewhere between like 5 and 7 hashtags really seems to be like the magic number for us. I think Instagram, you can have as many as 30 hashtags. If you want to be picked up as spam, more power to you. And I've also seen that some people use like 10. I think between 5 and 7 is kind of like is my magical number. That seems to be the best, where I can at least get to people's feeds and having those short tail and long tail keywords.
Yeah. Break that down for people so they understand the difference.
Yeah. What a hashtag is, it's your keyword essentially. So if I go to Instagram or Twitter and I search up, like small business, for instance, every post that has that hashtag of small business will pop up in my search query. So having terms like that are like more common, like small business, or having something that's more long tail, which is like which are hashtags that are more like set like to you, or like more like specific, like small business, like energy, or small business, like whatever it may have you, like add like 1 or 2 more words onto it.
And you can even do questions and hashtags for like a long tail one. So like how to start my first business.
Yeah.
That can even be a hashtag. That can work, and it will draw people that are specifically looking that area and pull you up.
Yeah.
And one thing that I heard about recently from a podcast that I watched grow from a couple hundred people to, I think they're over 3 million subscribers now on YouTube. And one of the things that they did, because it was in the entrepreneurial space, and one thing that they did is they said outright, we want to own the word entrepreneur. And so they used it as hashtags in every single video, as part of titles, tags in the videos and all that stuff and on the posts about it. And eventually they showed that they were able, whenever you looked up something with entrepreneur, they would be in the top 3 videos.
Yeah.
Because they just, over time, too, they just kept hitting it over and over and over. And so then they ended up kind of owning or co-owning that word. So, whenever you're looking up and that's your target audience, it's working out.
Exactly. And like I do this too for Stony Brook SBDC and for Stony Brook Economic Development, where if I'm at SBDC, I'm tagging everything as like Stony Brook SBDC, like hashtag SBDC, to really like make sure that whatever, if someone were to search for that, like small business, like that's coming up for them. And meanwhile, while I do it at Economic Development, by the way, I run its social medias for, I think it's 8 different centers that are like all housed under that umbrella. So each like center or program has their own specific, like it'll be like Stony Brook CWIT, the Center of Excellence in Wireless Information Technology. It'll be Stony Brook AERTC, which is the Advanced Energy Resource Technology Center. But having those like specific terms and then something that's more broad, that was more short term for like that discoverability, and then having something that's more like niche, like your own, to build that brand, to build that awareness over time.
Absolutely. No, that's great. It's good to have a little deep dive into keywords and hashtags and how those all work. So you said 5 to 7, Facebook and Instagram. From my understanding and the research I've done on LinkedIn, you shouldn't go over 4.
Yeah.
Once you go over 4, then that's when LinkedIn picks up that whole spam. Like, this is not how we operate.
LinkedIn, I'll keep it to like around 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5 is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's just, again, it's important to understand a little bit of the nuance behind the scenes. I think I was posting 6 or 7 on there, and a good buddy of mine that we had done some stuff together and done some speaking and things. He hit me up in the DMs and was like, "Hey man, like best practice, don't do that. Like you're gonna get short, like your reach is gonna be reduced when you do that because of the same thing you were mentioning."
I also find that, so for LinkedIn, you want that more like professional tone. I find to have my caption and then like my call to action, and then underneath that, that's where I usually place my like 4 to 5 hashtags as well.
Yes.
It doesn't distract from the post. Different from Twitter or X. I still call it Twitter. It's been that way for like 16 years of my life.
If twitter.com still works, then,
Yeah.
And it does.
For X, for instance, you can still have those hashtags like within your caption, but like it's a more informal setting. So like it's fine to do it that way.
Gotcha.
Also, just like a little side note for hashtags as well. If you have like hashtag small business, right? You want to capitalize the S in small and the B in business. It's like an accessibility thing, so people can like more easily see your hashtags and more easily like read them.
Oh, that's brilliant. I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, because it turns it from a series of, because there's no spaces, right? So
it's no
just
spaces, yeah.
This long conglomeration of letters going together. And so no, that's okay. And that doesn't affect it as far as like reach or anything. Like
it doesn't affect reach, but it's more of just like a user experience thing.
Exactly. No, that's huge. That's awesome. Okay, yeah, I'm taking that now. That's in the books forever. Okay, so LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn, the largest professional networking site, and you really want to emphasize professional with that. Same thing goes for everything. High quality visuals, video. You want your captions on LinkedIn to be somewhere in the realm of informational, entertaining, or inspirational as well. If you go through LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of like, here's what this thing taught me about like social media marketing. You'll see like a lot of those, and like they're kind of like cheesy now. Like we kind of like make fun of them,
right.
But like that's like some people like enjoy that type of like inspirational
100%.
content. I always also like, as I'm making my captions, within reason, of course, like tag the company that you work with, tag the employees that were a part of it, or any like contacts that you might have like met at that event, or like are involved with that specific program. It goes back to that discoverability, that reach, because not only does your audience see that you were with these people, but that person's audience can see that post as well, and then they can like it, they can comment on it, further building that engagement.
100%. Yeah, no, that's very powerful. Yeah, I know that on LinkedIn, and this brings a question up for the other platforms as well, is that they will organically push one post a day and not really much more after that, because they want to avoid like spamming, like you just pushing out content.
Yeah, I've noticed that too with like Stony Brook SBDC. Like we might have like 3 upcoming workshops, and that first one I do, like that first one of the day is going to get the best reach, and then that second one I do, like just a little bit less, and the third one is kind of, it's like why'd you even bother doing this one?
Just wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, just wait for tomorrow. Trust me.
Yeah, and really cool. I don't know if you can do this. I know you can't do the business suite on Facebook for both Instagram and Facebook. On LinkedIn, they have it on board for like your own personal account that you can actually time posts out, so you can schedule posts. If you're just going in and creating a post like normal, there's like that little clock.
Yeah, it's like on like the bottom right as you like go to like type in stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have like a business page. I don't even know if is there a difference between business pages and personal pages? I know that there's got to be.
Yeah, there is. If you have like your own personal LinkedIn page, I think it's even easier to set up than it is for Facebook. It's going like when you see like your icon like on the top right hand side, you can click that drop down and it'll say like create page, and from there you can create a company page that's linked to your personal LinkedIn, and then that's when you can kind of like dive into like the analytics a bit more. You can craft that page with like a bio. You can place your website in there. Like any contact information really should be going into your bio for whatever platform that you use. So like very easy to set up. I've done it for a few of the different centers at economic development, and it's just like, can you set up a page for me? And it's like, give me like 10 minutes. Sure. I'll have it all set for you.
That's awesome. Do you have any strategies of how people should think about wording their bios, their business bios on each of the different platforms? Like what should they avoid, and kind of how much is actually being seen before you click on like reading more or anything like that?
I think it might be like 2 lines or so that you're seeing, like 2-3 lines before you get that like see more option. But keep it concise, keep it like within your brand tone. You want to put any contact information on there, whether that's website, that's an email address. Don't be promoting things within the bio, like save that for your actual posts, but keep it about your company, relevant to that branding.
Right. And like who you're serving, like kind of what your mission is, but very concise, no flowery language is what I've seen tends to work better. Is when people, if they're actually going on your page and they're checking you out, the easier that they can see that this is the right fit for them, that they're in the right place, then the better off you're going to be, the longer that they're actually going to stay on. Even if they never open up and read the full bio. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to the length of how much people are actually seeing, and then carefully crafting that message. And I've always said, I've heard this once, and it's one of those things, just like what you said before, it's going to carry it with me forever. The letters and hashtags is clarity over cleverness.
Exactly. Yeah. I think even if you were to look up like the Stony Brook SBDC, our bio is like we are a federally funded business counseling service that serves small to mid-sized businesses in Nassau, Suffolk County. Like that first line, like already like, okay, I'm in. Like, what else do you guys have for me?
Yeah.
And then you can click see more and you can start scrolling.
Yeah. I'm in. I have a business. I want to start a business. This is what you guys do, and it's in my area, and this is who I'm going to go see. Yeah. I'm in the right place. And
then from there, you have those call to actions that bring you to our website that are going to bring you to like our form to become a client. So
perfect. Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's about, especially on your actual page, you want to remove as many barriers to them getting to where you want them to go.
Yeah.
So put that website as high up as you can. Put the call to action to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, you want the smoothest user experience you can create for not only your returning customers, but for your potential customers as well.
Right, 100%. All right. Is there anything else before we get to our very special edition of this portion of this podcast? Anything else on the social media platforms? Is there another one that you wanted to tap in on?
We can dabble on TikTok a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. No, we definitely should.
Yeah. Hopefully, I don't use like my TikTok as much as I should, but there's so much potential in it for every business, honestly. The only experience I really have with it is that my girlfriend does catering on the side as well, and she at this point has the following that she can have like the TikTok shop within her bio as well. We recently had a video that I helped her like put together. She was making like a mac and cheese recipe, and we didn't notice it as we were filming, but in the back it was a box of like the Jell-O cake mix from the night before when she made a cheesecake. So all of the comments were like mac and cheesecake. And this video got 730,000 views on this TikTok. That was like 30 seconds long, and just her engagement she saw was so crazy. And while it was like, she's like, no, that's not why I want people to come to my page. But it's just like, and then she answered each comment too, which further led to that discoverability. So like we were saying before, like those commenting and liking like goes a long way for your discoverability, and it just the reach that TikTok has is so crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're a business that can provide products or services globally, then social media is so powerful and TikTok is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because how many users do they have?
We're hitting, I think is it 1 billion, 2 billion?
I think so, yeah. Sarah,
can you fact check me on that?
I sure can. I was just going to add, I love TikTok. Actually, the dress that I'm wearing right now is from TikTok shop.
This is the time when we turn the camera around, Sarah.
No, it's okay. I'll stay nice and back here. But for SBDC Day, that's like one of the things that we did was we created the SBDC TikTok. And it's just it's such a different type of social media. It's so much more fun.
It's so
it's you have so much more like creative freedom on it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and so that's something to consider too. Is again, like what are people kind of expecting from the application, from the platform?
What I like about it is that it's so impromptu. You don't need this like polished, professionally curated feed. I think it's great for if you want to do behind the scenes stuff. If you wanted to do just like top 5 tips for new businesses, something along those lines. And that does so well on the platform too, because you're really focusing on that that quick attention grabbing, that snappy content right off the bat.
So this says, as of February 2024, TikTok had over 1.5 billion monthly active users.
Wow. Monthly active users. That's crazy.
I think it
look out, Facebook.
I think it took Facebook 7 years to hit that. To hit numbers like that?
Yeah, but I think because that was in the evolution, early stages of social media,
2004,
right?
The beginning phases of Facebook specifically, it was very geared towards a certain type of individual, I guess.
Yeah.
The TikTok was just open to anybody and everybody. And it started off as what was it before it was TikTok?
Musical.ly.
Musical.ly.
Music.ly.
Yeah, Musical.ly, something like that.
Yeah.
So it already had traction, but then they kind of switched it to almost be more of a Vine type of thing.
Right.
So it was nostalgic for probably more me and you, Cliff. I don't know if you were super into Vine when it was out.
I was deep in Vine.
Yeah, so me and Cliff are the millennials.
I'm a millennial too. I just wasn't into Vine.
You're the older millennial.
She's dropping bombs. Shots fired. Watch out. Yeah, so that's huge. So that's a big thing to consider. And you said that there's a TikTok store, so you can embed people to be able to buy products within your TikTok.
Once you get to a certain point on TikTok, you become a creator, I believe it's called.
Okay.
And then from there, you have the ability to work with brands and have a sponsored content through them. And then you can build a shop from there where you can have items from those specific brands that you're working with.
Oh, interesting. So it's they really took affiliate marketing to the next level. So what would you say is the difference if you're creating a reel versus creating a TikTok video? Are there any fundamental differences that we should consider?
They're so similar, especially because one was made to compete with the other. But I think the one step that TikTok has above is their native editing tools are so extensive. You can add specific sounds, music, you can add filters, stickers. Just your options are so infinite, really.
And it's pretty user friendly.
It's very user friendly from what I've seen. Yeah.
It makes sense with how prolific the posting and everything is on there they would put a lot of focus on that and keeping you on the app, keeping you editing inside of it and everything.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's if you want people to create content, make it easy.
Yeah.
Remove the barriers.
Make it easy. And like I said, it's not professional grade content that you're making either.
Right.
You're meant to have fun with it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of businesses really capitalize on that as well. Just that aspect of we can be a little bit quirky. We can loosen our collar a little bit,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's the expectation on the platform is that it's not going to be this, black tie, kind of event.
That's what LinkedIn's for.
Exactly right.
That's exactly what we did with the SBDC TikTok. The very first one was for SBDC Day, and we did the trend that was we're the SBDC. Of course we do, whatever, but it was super informal.
That was such a fun video.
I had so much fun making. If you want to know what I look like, I was in it.
But check out the TikTok.
But it was so much fun to make. But it, when people are talking to us we're a federally funded partner of the SBA, it's super formal, and then they got to see this fun kind of behind the scenes side of us.
Real people.
Yeah, exactly. It forms almost more of a human felt connection than like you just talking to a business advisor, super structured, super formal.
Yes. And seeing a logo and communicating with that. And it's so interesting, even on LinkedIn, like personality is so important. I've even seen on LinkedIn where I'm engaging on posts, commenting, doing my own targeted daily engagement for myself. And I'm seeing businesses post on there, and then they're responding to posts or to other comments that I'm responding to. And you can really tell when they're allowing a personality to kind of drive their posts or their own responses, or just being real, and not having this kind of corporate feel that's like, yes, we do this and it's only that. It's nice to have you.
I really believe that TikTok took advantage of this new wave of marketing that's come in, where I noticed it while I was in school at Stony Brook. Marketing became more snappy. It's something that it really grabbed your attention much faster than I had seen before. In one of my marketing classes, I did an essay on Dr. Squatch soap.
I've seen breakdowns on this too.
Yeah, it's a good ad. Those original YouTube ads were nothing I'd ever seen before. That you're not a dish, you're a man.
Can we pull one up?
And your body wash is a synthetic detergent, but you're not a dish. You're a man. Switch to Dr. Squatch natural soap for men. For men who build things. Open pickle jars on the first try.
Ridiculous. Oh my God, I love it. And what's crazy is that this almost feels like a TikTok.
Yeah.
Clip. It would be more, obviously they wouldn't be as high quality on TikTok, but it has that energy. And that was, what was that, 6 years ago?
6 years ago,
and
yeah.
Was TikTok even here 6 years ago?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I might have still been Musical.ly at that point, but
a part of this is also, again, I keep going back to, is thinking about your target audience.
Yeah.
Right? You want to think about the people that are buying it, and how serious do you need to be when it comes to talking about a bar of soap.
Right.
But and then you're also fighting this trend of all men are using the
liquid soap.
The liquid soap, in the bottles and everything. And so how do we get people to break this huge trend where everyone's using it? Bar of soap seems old, barbaric, who uses a bar of soap?
Right.
And then you have this commercial come in and you're like, that's so funny. I might just have to get one.
Well, I think what makes the writing so good is that it's funny, but also it's still getting the points across of its features and benefits to the consumer. The feature is, it's made with these all natural ingredients, and the benefit for you is it's going to clear away your dry skin. It's going to make you feel more refreshed.
Right. Yeah. No. And so you have to embed those things when you're going on the comedy side. People still have to know. I've seen so many commercials where at the end of it, even during the Super Bowl, when it's supposed to be the best top of the line commercials, it gets to the end. I'm like, what am I supposed to buy? What are you selling exactly? And so this does a good job of clearly identifying the cons with the old way, but doing it in a way, adding the funny to the same kind of structure that you would do a video sales letter.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like it. Dr. Squatch. They are not sponsor of this show, but check them out.
Just a friend. Just a friend. Just a friend. Just a friend.
We're just appreciating it. All right. So anything else on TikTok?
I think that might just be it, actually.
Yeah, I think that's good.
We covered the native editing tools.
Right.
Keeping your content from 30 seconds to a minute on there is great. If you're a creator, then you want to hit the minute mark, because then at that point, that's how you really see the dividends from your efforts.
Oh, interesting.
So a content creator, for instance, you'll notice that a lot of them that are verified and creators on TikTok, their videos will be a minute, because then at that point they actually start to generate revenue through the platform from the watch time, from the views, from the interactions.
Okay. No, that's really good to know. Hashtags, any sort of particular use on TikTok that's the others?
I think same rules apply. Somewhere in the 4 to 7 range, I think would be best. I've seen people that do a whole bunch. I don't know what their reach is but I think 4 to 7. That's really.
I've learned on TikTok just because I have accidentally gone viral once.
Yes, she has.
But I know obviously from a business perspective, but if it's more of a home-based business or just very personal to you, you can use the trending hashtags, because obviously those are the ones that generate the most audience viewers. So when I randomly went, I think we used I want to say Hillary Duff's child or something, because that was one of the trending ones, and it was one of the only hashtags that we used in that video.
Oh wow.
And I'm talking like millions of. It was embarrassing. I don't want it to ever happen again. Because I was doing like nothing besides burping my son and patting my dog, and then
at the same
back,
in like the same rhythm.
Yeah. So I would like burp my son, and then my dog is sitting next to me, and he's like, "I want to be burped."
I would like to be burped
On my
as well.
head.
Thank you.
So I was doing like hollow hand burping my son, and then I would hollow hand basketball dribble my dog's head. And I said, the caption was like, "You have to keep it equal," because he was my first son, and now I have my actual my skin child.
Yeah, your skin baby.
Yeah, and then that just like blew up, and I mean, there's like, I think last time I checked, I haven't checked it in months. It was like at 735,000 likes, but like over 1 million views.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting dichotomy when you're thinking about looking at comments and viewing comments and everything. It's so important to disassociate yourself from your ideas and from the things that are going out there. Again, I always go back to the mad scientist, A/B testing kind of stuff, where don't fall in love and don't marry your ideas of what you're putting out there, because when you do and you're getting responses back, whether they're positive or negative about the video, it's going to skew the way that you think about it. Because if you're like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing, so much of people are going to love it," and people are like, "Oh my gosh, we love it so much," and you're feeding off of this, and your ego gets inflated. But then you have 50, 100 other comments that are just like, "This is terrible, I can't believe you would do this, this isn't even funny," and then that is like attacking you if you're overly connected with the material,
Right.
And so it's such an interesting and can be difficult balance, especially as you are growing a followership, as people are subscribing or following you and everything, and you're starting to get a lot of these reviews. It can be its own battle to fight.
Yeah, definitely don't ever be afraid to experiment online with social media, whether that's like a filter or like changing up your captions a little bit, like A/B testing. Also, Sarah, you did remind me, and thank you for that. So turning hashtags, there's also you can put like music, you can use sounds on TikTok as well when you're editing your videos. Using those like trending like sound bites or that trending like bit of music like really helps you out as well for discoverability.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. When it comes to both to Reels and to TikToks, is the platform automatically setting what the person is going to see in the beginning, and is it just the beginning part of the video, or is it like YouTube where you're picking thumbnails? Obviously, YouTube when they're shorts, which is their competitive faction to compete with TikTok and Instagram, you can't do thumbnails there. It's going to be automatically pulled.
Yeah, I believe that when you upload, it'll like TikTok will go through and it'll find like a thumbnail like within that video, but you can also pick it too from within that video.
From within the video.
Yeah.
The same thing for Reels. You can also pick it from within the video, or you can use a picture.
Yeah.
Like you have the option to use a picture for it instead.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
I'm a big Reels person. I make Reels all of the time. I make an end of the year reel. It's fun. Made one for Chris's birthday.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
like it.
I love it.
All right, so we want to shift into what we've been teasing since the beginning of the episode, to our super secret portion of this that I think everyone is going to find intriguing. So, Cliff, let's dive in. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so we're gonna do a quick dive through SEO and website optimization.
Yeah, so talk to us. What is SEO? How should people think about it? And how does that interplay with both social media and website optimization?
Yeah, so SEO stands for search engine optimization, and that's really the way that you stand out amongst like a Google search ranking, like Bing search, or like whatever it is that you're using. And then that's all organic as well. So there's organic, and then there's also paid. So for the marketers out there, they'll see that as organic, and then there's PPC, which is pay-per-click. But for the purposes of just organic SEO, because that's really what I know best through Stony Brook, like when you create your website and all those different pages, depending on whatever platform you use, whether that's WordPress. For Stony Brook, we use something that's called OU Campus. From there, you can put in specific data and keywords and title and tag your pages.
Okay.
So that if someone searches for let's say if someone's looking for small business near me, in the Stony Brook SBDC website, I have the homepage tagged as one of several other keywords as small business center near me or business advisor near me. So that's going to search.
So you have that actual near me as a keyword embedded on the website.
Yeah. So really, when you're talking about SEO, like you're really gonna like do like a big dive into keywords as well. And keyword research is like a whole thing in and of itself. What I like about SEO is that you have to not only predict what your potential customers will be searching for in their query, but how the content on your website answers that potential question as well.
Absolutely. And one thing, Sarah, actually, could you bring this up? Our good old friend, trends.google.com. No, this is something that we haven't touched on yet, like in explicit detail. It's like come up in different areas when talking with people about what kind of strategies they've used and things like that. But as far as like an explicit episode dedicated to social media marketing, I don't think we've done it. So let's say we're dog groomers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe that'll work. Just put in dog groomer and scroll down a little bit. So scroll up a little bit, I'm sorry. So here you can see the United States, so you can actually click that drop down. So you can collect worldwide, or you can do any particular country. For us, and for the sake of today, we'll just do United States.
Yeah, we'll keep it simple.
Past 12 months, you can change that to anything from past hour.
Yeah.
And you can customize the range. I typically start by looking at the last 30 days, and then I'll tweak it from there. But I want to see what's kind of been going on pretty recently. So that's usually what I do. And then all categories. This is really great. Go ahead and click on that. And so you can actually get within the kind of industry or whatever, what we're talking about, business, industrial. Keep going down. Maybe there's like pets.
It might be like professional service.
Hobbies.
Oh, pets and animals.
Pets and animals. Perfect. There we go. So that fits in. And then you can even do this. So you could do this for, I've never done the image search. I've never done the news search. I've never done Google shopping, but I've done YouTube search because this podcast is on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so when I'm looking up keywords for this and what kind of hashtags and everything we should be using, then I'm using this tool to help identify which ones are the most popular within the last 30 days. And so for this one, we'll just stay on web search. And so because this is Google Trends, it's pulling from all of Google, which is like all of it.
Extensive.
Yeah, it's very extensive. So this is interest over time. This is giving us the last 30 days. And you can see the spikes and peaks and valleys throughout. But this doesn't really tell you a lot. Because you see, this is like a comparison against itself, right? And so it's like, compared to itself, it hit 100 on like the 5th of July, which is really interesting. After the 4th of July, dogs got real messy in the pools.
Must be,
in
yeah.
the lake. You know, I'm trying to think about why that would be. And that's something to think about too. Like, why would this be? What is going on in the world? This goes to your point and Sarah's point about paying attention to seasonality too.
Yeah.
Which is, and you can really get a feel for that too if you go back to 12 months or 5 years. You're like, oh, every time over the last 5 years, spring. That's always when it's hitting high.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. All right, let's throw some other keywords in there to compare against. So there you have the little compare plus. What do we think? If someone is looking to get their animal cleaned, what are some things that they might look up? What are some words they might use?
I think even you can keep it more simple and just like, you can even say like pet services. You could
There
say
we go. Pet services. Okay, so there we have data. But again, this is only 2. So you might think that pet services is really low, but you don't know until you're putting in other things. And what I'd like to try to do with this is take this one almost strategy or thought at a time. And so I don't want to compare dog grooming to dog boarding. Right? Because your business might do both of those, but for the sake of trying to identify what keywords are pertinent for this part, when we're trying to think about the words we might use on our website and in social media, I want to stick to one thing. So I'm getting a good comparison to the whole, like apples to apples instead of apples to oranges.
Yeah.
Right? So keep it in the same theme. Dog groomer.
I would say we should make it more like location based, maybe like Farmingdale, like groomer, like Farmingdale dog grooming.
Okay. So yeah, you can throw Farmingdale on the front of each of those. And then even at this point, I'll look up terms, or I'll even go to AI. I'll go to ChatGPT. Like, what are terms that are similar to this that people are searching online?
You know, I saw someone make it, so they went into...
what were you saying? I'm sorry.
So I saw someone use ChatGPT to make... He did all of his keyword, like, research data, like, through chat. So what he did was he went into chat and he said, I'm doing keyword research for this particular business. I'm looking for, please, like, here's like the main points. And it was, I forget like what the industry was that he looked up as an example. But chat was able to generate like common search terms and then priority 1 and priority 2 keywords.
Oh, that's great. I like that. Yeah, we use chat a lot here for that kind of stuff. We'll take a whole transcript from an episode and throw it in there.
Oh yeah,
and have it work with us. Again, it's a great assistant, but it's definitely not a replacement for people. Not yet. Maybe even pet services, Farmingdale pet haircut, fur cut. What would you call it? Or even like nail grinding,
nail
trimming. Yeah. Farmingdale pet nail trimming. That line. Yeah.
We might be getting a little too specific in here.
Yeah. Take out Farmingdale. I'm curious just to see what it looks like.
Like Farmingdale dog groomer could be potentially your like priority 2 keyword. So like not really the thing that most people are going to search for right away, but like it's something that's more specific to your business.
Well, and the thing is too, if we were doing this and we wanted to be location specific, we could even change that inside of the location, right, and just pick, because it's not just United States. You can actually go to states.
You can go deeper.
Yeah. So you can get you can do that. So so this is just a good example of just what you can expect to see, and you can do up to 5 keyword comparisons. So you can add 2 more. We don't need to do that right now. Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah,
brilliant. And look at that.
Yeah,
that one popped. And so you can see. So then this is just another tool. That's all I wanted to show. This is another tool that can assist you in developing types of keywords that are more popular for your business or that are trending. And then if you want to spend a lot of time, you could do what we were talking about with thinking about the seasonality. And if you're doing those search terms and you're looking across, you're like, oh, during this time, this word tends to pop. But this other word I'm comparing it with pops over at this time. And then you curate your marketing campaigns and everything around those kind of keywords, or include them in those during those seasons.
Yeah, definitely. I also find that it's a thin line to track, where you want to make sure you're getting the keywords that you want to pop up on a search query, but you don't want to stuff a web page with keywords. You don't want every other word to be like dog grooming, for instance, if we're keeping with this example.
Right.
You want it to read naturally to someone that's coming to your page.
Yeah, you want that personal touch, still that human touch, just like you were talking about with engaging with people on social media. Like they get to contact with a real person and you feel it. And so you can create that also on your website. So it's that art and science put together, the science of like finding what are the best keywords at the right times and everything, but then the art of feeling welcoming or creating the feeling that you want people to have when they go to your website. That's a really good point.
You got to finesse it a little bit.
Yes.
So.
Are there differences between and like how Google per se would see a keyword on a website? Like, do they value where it is on the website? So if I had like tab or one of the information things at the top of a website and it said dog grooming or whatever, would it rank that dog groomer, if we're continuing to drive this one up, if we see that up there versus seeing it in the text on a page or the title on top of a page? Like, does any of that matter, or is it just like, okay, it's on the website, so we're paying it?
You can add those keywords into, if you search anything and you see like links to web pages, so that blue link that you can click on, it's your title tag, so that's how it's going to show up like on your website. That's how it shows up in a search query. So like in your title tag, it should say like something related to dog grooming, and then within your metadata, which is that description beneath it, say if that link is leading to your homepage, for instance, say like we're like a mobile dog grooming service located in Farmingdale,
right?
You know, so having something like that where like it reads natively to a user that's coming in, and you're still getting your like the keywords that you want across right away from the search query.
And then, okay, thinking about location, because I've heard this before, I've listened to a lot of people talk about website SEO and things like that, so I'm curious for your take. Talk to me about the importance of setting up a Google business, I forget what they call it, where you show up, where you pop up as a business on Google when people are searching for it. And does Google's going to automatically do this, I assume, tell me if I'm wrong, that if you say Farmingdale dog groomer, and if somebody in Farmingdale does dog groomer near me, you're going to pop up because you've tagged yourself as in Farmingdale.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So let me tell you something.
Yeah, please. Give me the insight.
So before, when I was like, every business should have a Facebook, every business should also, if they're like brick and mortar, they should have a Google business profile. And that, if you don't know what it is, it's if you search a particular business, then you'll have, it's like a snippet that pops up on your right-hand side, or if like on mobile, it's going to look a little bit different. But like from desktop, it's a little snippet on your right-hand side, and that gives you images of the business. It gives you like contact information. It gives you
reviews.
It gives you more views.
Oh no, I mean reviews. Like
reviews.
People,
yes.
People that either type in a review or give you so many stars or whatever.
Just another way for Google to keep you within the search platform, and it's going to answer all of your questions through that too. There's times, if you're like you mentioned before, like if you're looking up like flights for airliners, you can book a flight without ever having to even go like into like TripAdvisor or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just did that for here. That's how I got here.
Yeah,
So exactly that.
So having that profile set up is great. So not only it verifies your business on Google. So what they do is you say, I'm claiming this business, or you're creating a page from scratch, and you say like I want to verify this business through Google. Google sends you a postcard through the mail with the code. And so when you input your mailing address, Google is going to send you that code physically to that address. And then from there, you go back in like a week later, a few days later, and you put in that code. And then it says, okay, yeah, like you're a real business, like you're verified.
And that further helps with SEO. Or you think about SEO when you're building it, when you're putting your information into
it definitely helps
Google
more. Sorry, it definitely helps more with SEO as well, because now you're a verified business and you're real. And then from there you can build it out to, you can add posts through the Google business profile, like you can add images. Yes. I do this for Stony Brook SBDC. So if someone searches for us and we pop up, one of the first things they see is something for an upcoming workshop. So they see not only are we business advising, but we host informational workshops.
That's so smart.
To help the people in our business community.
Yeah, and when you can show that too, and especially like I always love the images of work in action. So I'm not just telling you about a workshop like from the last one that we did when, as things are happening in person or even online, like you can have that screenshot of like all the different faces on the screen and then show that like, so we do virtual training, and you can have another one of a bunch of people sitting in like a seminar in a conference room where you're going through like an instructional or something like that. And so you're actually showing, not telling, right? You're telling too, but you're also showing, which is always more powerful than just telling.
Like we're a society of visual people now. We're visual learners now.
That's what we do. Talk to me if you can about the relationship of SEO between a business, our favorite dog groomer. So the dog groomer has Facebook, they have Instagram, they have a website. Is there a way to, or how are you thinking about SEO in the relationship of your entire kind of online profile?
Yeah. So I guess really the best way to answer this is that, so the way like SEO really works is that your search engine, whether that's Google, Bing, whatever you use, it crawls through like through its database, and it will eventually find your website, and it'll find the keywords that you use, and then it will index your page. And then once it's indexing, and then if you have certain credibility, like if that website has been around for a long time, if there's something called backlinks, which gets into like your offsite SEO.
Oh my God. I'm questioning whether or not we should dive into backlinks. I only recently discovered, had some definitions and some people talked to me about it. I'll leave that to your discretion.
The quick version is let's say a business has like a resources page, or like a company has a resources page, and your favorite dog groomer is listed under that resource page for whatever reason. That provides credibility for Google to say this is a reputable website, that's a reputable business. We're going to push it up higher within the search rankings.
Got it. Because you're connected with other sites that have been around, and it's like reputation sharing almost.
Exactly.
Because so if you're like a consultant, if you're a solopreneur, which I actually have a question about that as well. If you're like a solopreneur and you do consulting or something like that, or coaching, but you also write articles about it, right, to help promote what you're teaching and everything, and one of those gets picked up by a local news station, or it gets picked up by something bigger like a CNN or whatever, Forbes or something. And so that them having the link to your page or to that article that is in your social media profile, if you did like a LinkedIn article or something,
right, and
you have that article linked on your page on your website, so all of that kind of works together in that backlinking kind of way, where where you're indexed is going to go higher because of that relationship with those more prominent
It's
sites.
really like a full circle scenario. So let's say you have some sort of like professional service and you wanted to write a blog about a specific topic that you're knowledgeable on. So you have this blog. That blog is now stuffed with all the keywords that you might want to include in it. Right. You can take that blog and then share it as like a LinkedIn article on your page. You can get traction through it that way. And then someone might repost it, someone might have it on share the link on their website, and that builds your back-end credibility. So it all feeds into one another.
Okay, now that's great. So the question I had about solopreneurs or people that don't have a brick and mortar business, is there any way for them to get on to a Google business profile?
Yeah, you still can. It's not necessarily limited to just brick and mortar.
Okay.
It certainly helps because now you have like an actual address that people can find you. Not limited, still good to have, because then that way you can still connect you can still like talk about your business that way.
Right.
If you'll know, as you're building out that profile, you'll kind of go into a section that's like, tell me about that business. You can put your bio in. It might say, it'll give you all different things. It'll say like business hours. It'll say, is it like is the entrance wheelchair accessible?
Like, it's my house.
Yeah.
It's the basement of my house.
I believe there is a way that if you have a business that's run out of your home, you can hide your personal address on it.
Okay.
I don't know if it either gives you like a PO box or something like that, but there's a way to hide, so it's not just your home address is out and about.
Yeah,
Google,
that'd be great. Unless you're taking clients at home, then you do you.
Yeah, exactly.
Choose your own adventure. All right. Any other tips or things that we didn't cover about SEO that are important that people should consider?
I'll touch on website optimization a little bit.
Yeah, please.
A lot of website optimization is really just it's accessibility. So let's say you have a page. And you want like your titles need to be like a specific like heading font, and then a lot of people use screen readers nowadays. Like the visually impaired will use that. Right. So as they're going through, the screen reader can detect this is a heading for this page, and then it goes down. Then you have some caption, and then this is a subheading or a subtitle like to the same page where like it's related to the content before, but it might like go into like a more like specific dive. So having that screen reader to be able to go through everything and break it down. Like that's really great because now it's more accessible to other people.
Right.
If you have images on your webpage, which like you should, like, you know, again, visual people,
yes.
we like to be able to look at things.
Yeah, you don't want a website that's just like paragraph on paragraph on paragraph.
Yeah, no. So having your images, again, high quality images, high quality video, what have you, having that alt text. I've also heard that the file name, like for that image, also feeds into SEO as well, along with the alt text, which I find really interesting because I might use like a stock photo for an upcoming workshop, and it's like a businessman on laptop. So I want to know who's searching for that, and if that's going to pop up for them.
We're not optimized.
Like, is it optimized for that search?
Oh okay. It ends up going viral. You're just like, I didn't know so many people were looking for this.
Yeah, but having like that alt text is helpful too. Again, going back to screen readers, because if someone like hovers over that image, then like it pops up and you can describe that image to somebody.
Right.
Clearer call to actions on your website. I'm a big fan of having like a certain like a button if I want to direct someone like to a specific part of the website or take them to a landing page. And then also having that contrast on the buttons as well. You don't want a red button with red text. That's not gonna read well to people. So having that color contrast of your font really important too.
Yeah, absolutely. And having, I think, clear wording or verbiage for each of your tabs so that people understand just what they're looking at, like where they're going to be able to find information. And again, a lot of it seems to just go back to that UX, that user experience and going through it. And I think it's always smart for people to consider the whole alpha testing, beta testing kind of situation. A lot of people, everyone knows about betas, it's like, oh, but betas are usable, right? Alpha is like that pre-usable, and you're trying to figure out how do we get it from this, I just created this website tonight, to I want to publish it. And like, oh, well, it looks good. I mean, it makes sense to me. But you want to get a couple of people in there that will be objective and tell you like the hard truths and everything. Yeah. To actually go through and look at that, get some more sets of eyes on it, so that way you can make adjustments as needed.
If you ever want to also check your readability and your optimization for a website, what's it called? I think there is. Google has like a site test tool. It's a free site test tool. I can't. It might be. It's like g.co/site something like that. But it'll like go through and it'll give you a breakdown of like you should like improve this because like that might be better for you. That image makes your webpage load too long. So maybe like reduce the size of it so that, to improve your page load speed. That'll improve your SEO as well too. Okay. There's a lot of technical aspects that go into it as well. So we have like the back end things you have on site, which is like your content, your keywords. And then there's the technical aspect of, does your page load? Does your page function?
Right. Yeah. Those basic things. How long does it? And it's interesting, the load times. And paying attention to that, like
if you load a page and it's taking more than a specific time, you're clicking off that page, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
100% every time. And our patience is so low now.
yeah. If it if it takes more than 5 seconds,
yeah, if it takes a full second, sometimes you're like,
It's like,
how invested am I really?
yeah,
You know?
because then Google sees that people are bouncing off your page as well. So a higher bounce rate is going to mean a lower SEO ranking.
Yeah, now that makes sense. Makes sense.
And also things like how long a person spends on that page, how far down a page they scroll if they're reading all of it, that plays into it as well.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. They like YouTube, which is owned by Google, operates very much the same way with videos. Like you have to think about the titles and the thumbnails because that's how you get people in. But then there's also average viewer duration.
Yeah.
So there's click through rate and average view duration. It's the same thing on a website. AVD is how long are people actually watching? What percentage of the audience that actually clicked on it? One of the first things to look at is the first 30 seconds. And so then after that, it's still important. You want to keep that curve not crazy.
Yeah.
You want to keep it as level as you can. It's always going to drop off. People are always like, how many people actually watch a video beginning to end, even on things that they absolutely love, and so there's a reasonable expectation it's going to go down, but it's about that cliff that dives off at the beginning. And so then you go into thinking about, like in videos, you think about your hook, and you think about making sure that your hook, when you start the first 15, 30, 60 seconds of that video, is following through on the promise that you made with a thumbnail and the title.
Yeah.
Because that's what attracted them. So then we have to give them the extra guarantee. Yes, you are in the right place. We are actually going to talk about this. This isn't clickbait.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing for a website.
It's the same thing, yeah. And like using YouTube as that example. So like if we're uploading a YouTube recording of a workshop that we do for Stony Brook SBDC, so like I have the title that we've come up with, and then in the description I'll say like so-and-so from like XYZ company presented a workshop regarding and that specific like key terms, that key topics. What I find interesting about YouTube is that as you're like filling all that in, like you're scrolling down and you're saying like who's like the audience meant for this video, there's a section where you can put tags for the video.
Yes.
It also explicitly says that the tags really don't affect your search. So
yeah,
I do wonder. I always put tags in, but
me too. Yeah. I always do, because if they give me the option to do, and this is something that I think you should take into consideration, people should take into consideration in all of these fronts, especially when it comes to social media. If they're giving you the option to do it, and it's going, and even if it affects it 0.5%, just do it.
Yeah.
Especially with something that doesn't take that long, with all of the tools and everything that are out there now to help you come up with the right keywords and all that. Like we come up with keywords by using ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But we don't feed it. We give it the whole transcript of the video of like this podcast. We'll take the entire transcript, throw it into chat and say, give me your top 10 long tail keywords. Give me your top 10 short tail keywords.
Yep.
We go and we curate those. Like that doesn't make sense. No one's going to be looking for that. Right. So you have to give it that human eye, that human touch, but it's great. It's so easy and fast. And that, as you spend more and more time on these different AI platforms, I like chat. I'll tell it, okay, once I get it to the words that I want, then I'll just tell it, okay, can you now regenerate the list of these finalized keywords, place them on one continuous line separated by commas?
Yeah.
And when it does that, then I can just copy and put it directly into YouTube, and it's good to go.
Yeah, great. Just copy paste it.
Yep. And so so it just removes all of the little work, and you just figure. And I only figured all this stuff out with chat just by trying. Like, I wonder if it can, and then it does, or it doesn't.
Yeah. Some people use, I think it's called Mod, which is like, I think it's for like documents more.
Right. Not super familiar. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
At staff training, they did a workshop on it. I forget.
Great.
I only remember Mod, but there were quite a few different options, and they all did like a specific thing too.
Yes.
So I think depending on like, just do your research on what's out there for you to make your life a little bit easier, and there might be one that suits that particular task.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And don't get scared and hide under a rock.
Yeah.
Like it's here. It's not coming. It's here. AI's here.
Yeah.
And you're either gonna. I think of it like a wave that's like crashing in onto the beach. Can you stop the wave? No. Can you learn to surf? Yeah. So like learn to. So you're not gonna control it. You're not gonna stop it, but you can learn to ride it. And so that's your best bet if you're in a business, especially in marketing and everything on that side. If it can help reduce the amount of time it takes to accomplish the same task that you're already doing, like why aren't you doing that?
Yeah.
You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, that's such a great way to look at it too, because I think when like we first started like really play around with ChatGPT at my office, people were like, oh, it's going to be coming for your job soon. And I was like, maybe, but like we're a ways away from that.
It'll come for your job. It would come for you specifically, your job, if you didn't learn to incorporate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is a tool. And so now I can look at it and I can say, well, how does this make me a better marketer?
Right.
And like we're saying before, like you can use it to generate those keywords and improve your SEO.
I'll bounce ideas off of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll just be like, I'm thinking about this. Give me some other insight, you know, from X, Y, and Z industry or whatever the case may be. And so then it'll spit back some other ideas. I'm like, oh, that's really good. Or like, that's garbage. That's usually how it goes. That's trash. Absolutely no good. Oh, if I take that part of there and I put it with that part of there, that kind of teams up with what I was talking about. And then now it's different, interesting in a way that I didn't think about already. So if you use it in a way that helps you with ideation, then I think that right now that's what it's best used for, and for short cutting tasks, the time to complete tasks down significantly.
What I love to use it for is not just like the transcript generation, like for videos like that. I'm very like wordy on paper, and like I don't know how to. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to just like trim that back a little bit. Yeah. So I'll have a post for LinkedIn, and it's, you know, like I have my keywords in there, and I'm like tagging these people that I need, and then I go to X, and I'm limited to 280 characters, and I go, uh-oh. Well, now I open up ChatGPT and I say, also, like, I'm very nice at chat too. Like, so I'm like, good morning, chat. How are we feeling today?
Sarah gives me crap because every single time that I post something, I always say, please.
Yeah.
Like, can you please generate this?
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, when they take over, I want them to know that I'm good people.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, like I have this particular thing that I want to put on Twitter or X. Like, are you able to take that and, you know, like and condense it a little bit? And it'll usually give me something that I would have come up with manually if I were to like go through and like, you know, like take away things and maybe like use some shorthand.
That's what I've seen it be really good when it's at its best for me personally, is when you give it more information than what you're asking from it. So if you just try to give it this generalized idea and say like, oh, we did a podcast about this, help me generate some titles for it, it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But if you give it that mass upload of a transcript, if you give it that long wordy post, then it has more to work with, and it can help take your words and your thoughts, the way that you put it, and just truncate that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so handy because it would take me like, what would take me, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes to kind of like bring something down to that character limit. Chat will do for me in like 2 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like I said, it's something that I probably would have come up with like eventually if I like was trimming down things. But if it can save me the 5 minutes, yeah,
and the
absolutely.
cognitive energy to go through it and be like, oh, okay, does that make sense? And let me go back in. And so you're like, oh no, you do the rendition and I'll grade it. It's so much easier to grade than it is to create sometimes.
And like you said too, like it's a really good point that like you can upload a whole transcript and generate titles that way. I've gone to ChatGPT and it's like, oh, we have like an economic development. We have this conference coming up, and here are like some of like the main like pillars that we'll be discussing. Like generate titles for me that way. A lot of them tend to be hit or miss, or a lot of them will be, it's the same thing with just like an extra word in there somewhere. But I think giving it more information than it really needs to make a simple task or like a simple title, it really makes a world of difference. It makes your life so much easier.
That's huge. Cliff, you are the man. I think that you really did a great job of breaking down some of these things, getting people that maybe aren't as spun up on the different strategies, and just like the outlines of each social media platform, when to use it, when does it make sense to use this one versus that one, and all the different kind of rules and applications within those that you can use. So this was really great.
Yeah, this was amazing. I'm so used to being behind camera, so like it's weird for me being out here. But yeah, like this was so great. Like my biggest concern was just like, oh, like Matt's so good on camera. Like I got to make sure like I can like get up to Matt's level. But like no, this was such a great time.
You brought it. I was keeping up with you today, buddy. Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you.